This video has been in the works for 4 months and it's finally here. I gathered a group of the most chaotic players I could find to simulate prison in Minecraft. The prisoners could do whatever they wanted to. They could make friends, form groups, and even if they wanted to, escape. The prisoners are led by one warden whose task is to keep order in the prison. And just like in real life, if a player dies, they are dead forever. The events that happen in this video are hilarious and flat out insane. You don't want to miss any part of it. I'm done wasting your time, so without further ado, I give you the Jailbreak Experiment. Huge shout out to Ish for the video inspiration, and subscribe and like the video if you enjoy. Alright, day 1. When the prisoners spawned in, they were first greeted by the extremely small cell block and cafeteria that they were going to be living in. The cells themselves barely had any room to move around in. It was clear to the prisoners that whatever prison they were going to be staying at was no paradise. The prisoners were shown away to the main courtyard where the warden finally introduced himself.
Hello, prisoners. I am your warden, Blue Fury. I know none of us want to be here right now, but I do have some notes for y'all. The guards around you are to be respected. We don't mess around here. We aim and fire when needed to with no hesitation. Let's hope we don't get to that point. If you treat us with respect, we'll treat you with respect. That's how we keep this prison in order for the next few days.
After that threatening and spine-chilling speech from the warden, the prisoners were told it was time for their first meal. Warden Blue sent all the prisoners off into the cafeteria where the food was going to be served. Moments later, he learned a very important lesson. Don't let the prisoners onto the line for food all at once, especially when they don't understand the concept of patience. After the small brawl in the cafeteria, I sat down and spoke to one of the prisoners who somehow already had a target on him from a prison gang that was formed. While all the commotion was happening, it seemed that one of the prisoners had just come in and was having trouble settling into the prison. Cupcake 08 seemed to not understand what she was doing, and as one of the guards, Yangles, was trying to get her attention, well, we'll let the rest of the clip speak for itself. The warden decided that the prisoners would go straight to their cells after they finished eating. It was rumored that Warden Blue had something exciting for the prisoners tomorrow morning. On day 2, the prisoners were let out of their cells and sent to the cafeteria for breakfast. After they finished their meal, Warden Blue came out with a surprise.
Good morning, prisoners. Hope you all slept well. Yesterday, we lost our first prisoner, but that does not stop the flow of this prison. Today, I have something exciting for you all. I'll finally be letting you all out into the courtyard.
The prisoners seemed very excited to know that they could finally have some free time that wasn't behind metal doors and iron bars. The courtyard consisted of 3 areas that the prisoners could do activities and have fun at. First was the famous and classic basketball court. Second was an outside gym station. Lastly was the main courtyard where the warden had spoke to the prisoners at in day 1. While most of the prisoners were hanging out by the basketball court, a small scene was starting to grow attention. Apparently, Campy did not understand the rules of basketball and began hitting the player with the ball. As expected, a fight between the prisoners broke out. The guards were called on the scene to handle the situation, and Warden Blue stuck to his word.
We aim and fire when needed to with no hesitation.
Campy, the prisoner with the biggest target on their back, was dead.
Oh, I saw that.
What? Saw what?
That's the prisoners.
While the guards were processing what they had just seen, one of them noticed a prisoner holding something strange. Sub to Zuko, CMM 100, and Warden Blue soon caught on to the situation. Panic Nebula was shot instantly by Zuko for having a sword in his hand. I forgot to mention that in this prison, weapons are considered illegal and punishable for having, so when the guards noticed what Nebula was holding, they fired. After the incident, the prisoners were ordered to report to their cells, wrapping up day 2. Before the guards went off duty after getting the prisoners into the cell block, something crazy happened. A prisoner named Mike took a swift and risky chance when he thought the guards weren't looking to build up over the fence and into the water. The guards chased right behind him until he combat logged in the water. One guard, Devin, decided that he would camp out near where Prison Mike had logged off of and wait to execute him. While all the guards were distracted, they were unable to monitor the prisoners in the cell block. A fight was being formed during Prison Mike's escape, and one last strike of chaos was about to send fear down the spines of everyone in the prison. Prison gang leader Ab had pushed a prisoner named Void off from the 2nd floor of the prison cell block, dropping Void to his death. That had marked 4 deaths in 48 hours of the experiment. In the morning of day 3, more chaos was about to strike. Prison Mike had joined back. Devin, who was camped outside all night, was ready. The prison was set into instant lockdown afterward. The players started to get the horrific impression that this experiment could very well be their fate. Now, before we move on to day 4, I wanted to bring something incredibly important to the story up. Throughout this entire experiment, Warden Blue was not the only guard with high power. As his right-hand man, CMM-100 has been Warden Blue's second-in-command. I spoke to the second-in-command himself after witnessing the assassination of Prison Mike.
For the last 6 months working here, I've picked up on Warden Blue's acts of discipline to the prisoners. At first, I thought he was just in a bad state of mind, or he was going through some problems with his family, but nothing changed. He used aggressive power towards the prisoners, always leading to injuries and even death. And now with the new group of prisoners who came in 3 days ago, I thought I would keep to myself that me and Mike used to be friends, best friends. And seeing that all this chaos ties straight back to the reflected behavior of Blue to the other guards. It just keeps me up every night. I have to do something about this. I have to kill Blue.
On the morning of day 4, the prison was quiet. There were almost more guards than prisoners. The remaining prisoners went out to the center courtyard to listen to the warden's message for the day. The disgust some of them felt from Blue pretending like nothing had happened and everything was okay was very clear. Rumors started to roam that the prison had a torture chamber under the cell block where prisoners were executed, and worst of all, an event that Warden Blue was starting to share with other guards about.
Bringing the prisoners to the battle dungeon.
And having them fight for their lives. Second-in-command CMM could not let this happen, so he began to think of a plan while the prisoners ate breakfast. As always, it wouldn't be a normal day without the prisoners fighting with each other. The guards tried to stop the brawl, but it was too late. Nate Nader was killed. A prisoner named Stormform, a member of Ab's prison gang and friend of Nate, instantly rushed to Warden Blue and held him responsible for the death. Blue continuously defended himself, saying he had nothing to do with it, but Storm stuck his ground and started to attack Blue. Warden Blue's rage was clear as a crystal, and he ended the whole situation with one shot. The rest of the guards evacuated out of the cell block, but before the warden made it out, the remaining prisoners started chanting his death. With a hopeless look from his right-hand man, Mason was dead. Second-in-command CMM had had enough. He took out his sword and did what he said he would do.
Most of all the days we never got to live, they are so real to me, and I will keep on for a time, also from the other side of our
As the new warden, CMM and the remaining guards exited the cell block for a moment, which was the worst thing they could have done after the death of ex-Warden Blue. Gang leader Ab and the rest of his crew attack prisoners Jomar and Dystherial, killing them both. Warden CMM realized that Ab and the rest of his gang were not afraid of death, and being the only remaining prisoners, it would only be a matter of time for them to strike against the guards. He promoted Zuko as his second-in-command to protect him and fight alongside if the prisoners revolted. Warden CMM sent the prisoners off to their cells for bed. Right as CMM was ready for his much-needed rest, the guards started to fight about who should stay in power. Guards Bean and 72 started to get in an argument and things escalated very quickly. 72 was dead. Just like that, day 4 was over and 7 players were killed. Well, let's just see how this experiment ends. The last few prisoners were let out of their cells, and for a moment, things seemed pretty calm, but as all things come to an end, the prisoners fled the cell block in an instant. They rushed into the water and swam to shore while being shot at by the guards. Warden CMM then realized his incredible mistake of making Zuko his second-in-command. It turns out Zuko was defected and had to deal with Ab and his gang to help them escape. The guards chased behind them into the jungle, not letting them get away. Devin chased gang leader Ab into a hole and killed him in an instant. Right after, prisoner Needless was stopped by guard Miner and finished off. Lastly, prisoner Lewis spotted CMM, Miner, and Devin catching up to him. He raced through the bamboo forest, succeeding in slowing the guards down for a moment, but with a push from Miner, he fell down a cave to his death. With all the prisoners dead, Warden CMM finally thought all the stress and disaster was over, but just as he got a chance to catch his breath, his peace was quickly ended.